Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. This is Christopher Moldong of Chris's Storytelling Corner. Today I'm going to list the top 5 villain pairs in the Batman universe. Next time I'll have a list of the top magic users in anime and manga, a movie review for Batman and Harley Quinn, and have a manga review for Kobato Volumes 5 and 6. In a few weeks, I'll have a movie review for Kingsman The Golden Circle. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldon.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. Also, for $2.99, you can buy my short story collection of 10 short stories in the horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. I'd also really like to hear from you guys, so leave any comments pertaining to this particular show. If you agree, disagree, if there are any villain pairs that I have missed, which I know there's a bunch, because I have not read every Batman comic or know every um, media of from the Batman universe. So I'm gonna miss a lot. I just did the top 5 that I know, and make sure to subscribe and share this channel as well. So one thing about this is that when I talk about like the villain pairs in the Batman universe, I am talking about like the comics. I'm talking about the movies, the DC EU movies. I can be talking about some of the old Tim Burton movies. I can be talking about the TV show Gotham, one of my favorites, the Batman animated series. So when I say like top, villain pairings in the Batman universe, I mean it's a expansive universe that admittedly only know what the animated series, some of the movies, some of the comics, the show Gotham, obviously the old, you know, Adam West Batman, um, and some other like Batman media, but obviously I haven't read like everything. So these are my personal top 5 villain pairings in the Batman universe. We're gonna start with the first one from Gotham, specifically in Gotham, but this pair it has been in like the comics and whatnot. Penguin and the Riddler from Gotham, in particular, uh, is a really interesting pairing. They live together in Gotham. They have done you know evil, like bad guy things together. Penguin was kind of something of, I guess, a I wouldn't say a mentor, but he definitely taught Riddler or Nigma before he was Riddler just to kind of embrace this bad side that kills people. You know, spoiler. Yeah, spoiler alert. These. So if you haven't watched Gotham this far in, a lot happens between the two, though. They're allies. Then after some uh, romantic shenanigans with Riddler and this one woman that he loves. Penguin kills her. Penguin loves Riddler. It turns out that he has romantic feelings for Riddler. Riddler tries to kill Penguin. They work together to escape from the Court of Owls, right? Yeah. And then finally, Riddler tries to kill Penguin. Penguin was one step ahead of Riddler. Penguin uses Mr. Freeze to freeze the Riddler, and now he is a centerpiece in his nightclub. So they just had a really interesting dynamic, though. Honestly, these two, like I said, when they lived together, I mean, they were just comedy gold. I mean, there's a scene where I think is it Penguin's calling Nigma, and it's just like, yeah, the toilet's flooded, because I ate something bad. It was just funny. They work together really well. They kind of like a two peas in a pod type deal. Yeah, I forgot Penguin was mayor in Gotham, and then Riddler was his like chief of staff or whatever, something to that nature. Trying to remember it from the top of my head, but they both have this inclination to murder people, really, a lot of times, to kind of not physically overpower people, but they both want to intellectually overpower people, because a lot of times with Penguin, he's just a devious guy. And the Riddler obviously is a really smart guy too, Nigma. So, like I said, two peas in a pod in that sense. Next pairing will be Rachel Ghul and Ubu. Not much to say here, apparently, there's multiple Ubus. I believe one of the Ubus turned out to be Bane, if I'm not mistaken, one of the comics. Um, but Ubu's pretty much the loyal bodyguard of Ra's al Ghul. I remember the first time I saw them, was in Batman in the animated series, and Ubu's just this guy that's always on Al Ghul's side throughout everything. Uh, Obviously he's just this pairing isn't so deep per se. I mean, it really is just like the boss and the number one henchman. But they're generally uh, together a lot. Like he's pretty undyingly loyal to Ra's al Ghul. Um, but yeah, there isn't too much of this like deeper connection that I'm aware of between the two. But still, it definitely is like the brains. Even though Ra's al Ghul can actually fight too, it really is like the smart one, and then the muscle as well. Or like Ubu's pretty much the heavy for Ra's al Ghul. Uh, Next one after that, from the Batman animated series, Killer Croc and Baby Doll. I still remember like the end of this episode, um, more so than anything else. I haven't actually watched Batman the animated series in a while, but it's such a great series. There's so many individual episodes that you can just remember. I mean, they just stand out. For some reason, this one really stood out to me. The episode would be "Love Is a Croc." Um, I remember Baby Doll was working just a regular job. She gets harassed by some drunk. Pretty much goes to back to the life of evil. Or back to being a villain, pretty quick. She sees Killer Croc having a trial, and he just says that he says what she's thinking, or what she said previously. They're just different from everyone else, and in that sense, they found a bond in that way. She can't physically grow older than like than a child, and Killer Croc is a living crocodile. So yes, they are very much just different from everyone else. They're then known as Gotham's Bonnie and Clyde. However, Killer Croc grows tired of all the mushy stuff between the two. He finds out, or Baby Doll finds out that like Croc was seeing other women behind his back, behind her back, and pretty much devises his plan to kill them and kill Gotham, and destroy Gotham. Um, it really was just a weird pairing. I mean, it's just something you don't really think about. It's like Killer Croc and Baby Doll. It's like that's like I don't know. I'm just gonna randomly name Killer Croc and Clock King. You know, like okay, like how does that come about? I'm sure they've actually teamed up together. I wouldn't know the media, whether it's comics or whatnot, where they have teamed up. But it just it stood out to me, um, just because it really is just such an odd pair that I wouldn't think would be brought together. And it was really cool how they did it. At the very end, Killer Croc it got hurt, and she's just like, yeah, they could have been so happy, we could have been so happy together. And then she says, just like in TV, or something to that nature. And I was like, yeah, she's freaking delusional. I mean, it's so in her character to say something like that, just uh, unable to, like, kind of see reality, she, like, honestly. It's pretty, like, and in a sense, it's kind of tragic if you really think about it. It's just like, yeah, I'm in love with this living crocodile who doesn't clearly doesn't love me, but like I'm gonna like pretend that he does in a sense. And Croc's just like, hey, you're just my ticket, to get out of jail. And then, hey, we can work together and like, make a couple bucks. But like Killer Croc's like, yeah, he doesn't care about her at all. You know. Next pair after that, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Um, these two actually met in, I believe their first meeting was also Batman the Animated Series. But their pairing uh, stretch it because they were really good together. They kind of just stretched out into other media. Then they became, you'd see them together in the comics, and well, more recently, they're very, if you haven't seen it yet, in the Batman and Harley Quinn DC animated movie. Uh, they're still friends, and they play a really big role with each other as well. So, I mean, this pairing has really just kind of skyrocketed past, you know, where it originally began. In the Batman animated series, eh, actually, I think they paired up in like Static Shock, if I'm not mistaken. Um, was Batman Beyond? Did they Batman Beyond? I'm not too sure. But some of the other episodes I know, I'm pretty sure they paired together as well. In the original episode, they were like known as the new Queens of Crime. Uh, they pretty much just found each other when Joker just kicked out Harley Quinn for messing up, and he kicks him out of the hideout, and she just kind of goes and and tries to steal something and runs into Poison Ivy, um, and they just kind of hit it off. You know, one thing that actually stays in the continuum too is that Ivy injects Harley with a chemical that stimulates Ivy's own toxic immunity, and it allows Harley to survive like the toxic environment and whatnot. If I'm not mistaken, that chemical actually strengthened um, Harley Quinn as well in future episodes. In, if I'm not mistaken, um, so yeah, as as far as a pair goes, I mean, it's kind of weird because Poison Ivy's not a silly person per se. She's not. I guess they kind of fill that thing. You know, maturity and immaturity. I mean, it really is like an opposites attract type of thing here too. It's maturity and immaturity. You have someone that's just kind of goofy versus someone that's so straight laced. Someone that's Poison Ivy has more of a focused agenda. It's like, hey, like plants are better than people in a sense. I want the world not to destroy nature, whereas Harley Quinn is more just closer to Joker, just more chaotic. She just kind of does things without much of an agenda, or Harley Quinn does, and just does things almost for the sake of chaos, you know. So, but it works, you know, because they're both villains. They are good at just causing mischief, like really. Um, but yeah, they're a really good pair. But the number one pairing, in my opinion, and I think this one, as far as the villain pair goes, this one should be pretty basic. We're gonna put her back in here, Harley Quinn and the Joker. So, I gotta go back to uh, the Batman and the animated series. Harley Quinn was originally made in that animated series as just a sidekick to the Joker. It's just like, oh hey, it's like Joker's girlfriend. And she just kind of took off from there, and she's into comics, and then she's in other media, and then she's into Suicide Squad. And in the Suicide Squad, Joker and Harley Quinn got something going on. And even in Batman and Harley Quinn, Joker's not in it, but he is mentioned by Harley Quinn quite a bit. Um, you know, then they made the origin story where she in Suicide Squad, it's like she falls in the vat with him, and she gets. That's why she's kind of like has this like pale complexion and whatnot. Um, and they went the backstory of like she was her Joker's psychologist, or what is it? Yeah, or gosh, psychiatrist, or I'll just say doctor at this point. Mental doctor. I can't think of what the name is. For the Joker in Arkham Asylum, and then she just like fell in love with him. Uh, they work really well together. I mean, he Suicide Squad really showed that dude, he's just totally infatuated with her. you know, and the animated series, they really just had this. I get. I mean, it still shows in other media, but like they just had this like erratic relationship together. They love each other quite a bit. I mean, they're both just kind of nuts, and they just have that in common. Um, but like, I mean, I think Joker's a little more nuts than Harley Quinn, but like, she's pretty crazy in her own right. Um, but yeah, they it's hard to say what makes them like just such a great pair. Besides that, they're both chaotic, I guess. Um, and just it's just kind of interesting that like she really was just this like side character, and then she became just more and more popular in that sense. They appear together like I said in like the Suicide Squad movie, in starting with the Batman animated series and going into like comics, other media and whatnot. Um, they're kind of just made for each other. I can't really explain. They're not really the yin to their yang. It's just they're the yin to their yang. you know, um, she, it just has this weird like kind of sick, kind of makes sense. Attraction and loyalty to each other. They're always just intertwined in some way, shape, or form. Even if they're not around, like I said, like the Harley Quinn will mention the Joker. There's no, you know, he's always like a part of her life at the very least. And these days, he's pretty much like, or she's always a part of his life as well. So, that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel. Thank you for listening to this list. Next time, I will have a list for the top magic users in anime and manga, a movie review for Batman and Harley Quinn, and a manga review for Kobato Volumes 5 and 6. In a few weeks, I'll have a movie review for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Thank you, and until next time.